Good talk. All right, welcome to another episode of Flip the Mind Script. I'm Brandon.
I'm Jen.
This is Jen. And what are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about marriage advice that doesn't suck.
That doesn't suck. Hold on. I wanted Jen to try one of these. I was just got back from a trip, and I was going through New Mexico. These are chile mangos.
I like chilies. I like mangoes. Should I dive in or should I
Just eat it.
Oh, I'm not doing that. I feel like that's
a tiny one. It's just warm. It's a little warm. I don't think it's bad.
That's warm. That's warm.
Is it?
Yeah. But I'm like, ketchup can be spicy. Okay, it's not, but
it doesn't seem to last that long.
Like
it's a little warm, but then you're like, oh, it's kind of hot. And you're like, wait, it's gone.
And then it goes away.
Yeah. It's got a good little flavor.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of nice.
Should have run the water. I got a little overconfident. Whoops. I'll save that one for later. It does go away quickly, though.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, it's good. I would daintily eat it.
Flip it. Throw it in there.
I'm not that. You married the wrong person for that.
How do you like our new
yes
decoration? Wait, our whole new scene. That's right.
A whole new setup.
She did this. Ta-da!
I like a good project.
She does like a good project.
I don't sit very well.
You know what? That is a good thing for marriage advice that doesn't suck, okay? Your spouse is doing a project, doing something that it's their project. They're doing it. They want to do it. And the other spouse comes in, let me tell you my thoughts and let me tell you my opinion. Keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
If you don't, that's fine. But for example, I'm going to pick on you and then you can pick on me. But I remember we were at our other house and I was really excited about planting some trees. And so I bought like a whole bunch of these little trees and, they're going to grow really nice and big. And I was really excited about it. And I just go out there and I'm digging my holes and lining it up and I'm putting my trees in and I've got like a bunch of them done. I don't even remember what you said, but I mean, I was in it. It was happening and I was enjoying it and fun and I was enjoying the process. So I was out there doing my trees and I was like kind of focused and really into my thing. And you came out. What did you say?
Well,
you're giving me.
I started giving you advice on how it should be done. That's basically the gist of it. I gave you my thoughts
on how. You should do that if you thought of.
Not on how it should be done, but how it should be done better. How you weren't doing it the way I thought you should be doing it, which is extremely unfair because it was your project and I inserted myself.
That I never asked your opinion.
Correct.
And I didn't want your opinion.
Correct.
Because I just wanted to go do it.
Yes. And I will have to say, in my defense, I very quickly realized you were not asking my opinion. You did not want my opinion. When I realized that, I really tried. I didn't take it personal and I just went, oh, I chose to insert myself.
Yeah.
You did not ask.
I remember that look of recognition on your face. And you were like, I should not have said anything. Yeah. That has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
And then you just turned around and walked away.
I was almost like in mid-conversation where I was like, you know what? I think, and I was like explaining. You very much had that look like, I did not ask you. I love you, but I did not ask you. And then I kind of like stopped and I was just turned around. I just laughed.
That was a good example because one, I didn't get all worked up and upset about the way you thought it should be or telling me to do this or that. I was like, I don't want your opinion. This has nothing to do with you. And I didn't take it personal. And that could start a fight, I'm saying. That could start some big old fight.
I think what you said, because I think this is important. You didn't just give me a look. I think what you said is, this is the way I'm doing it because this is the way I wanted to do it. You were nice about it.
I clearly explained to you that I didn't want your opinion and I wasn't trying to be a jerk. I just let you know this is not your project.
Because you were very clear. You were not emotional, but you were very clear that this was not my place. This was not my thing. Don't insert myself into this thing that you've already decided on. And then I realized, oh, yeah, I'm totally in the wrong. Not that like I'm shaming and guilting myself over this thing.
Right.
But yeah, I am in the wrong. I inserted myself in a thing that you were very happy. You were happy doing all by yourself. You didn't ask me for help. You didn't ask my opinion. You just bought these and you were doing this project, and I was making it not fun. You were fine.
I did do a good job of explaining it. So that's I would say one thing is it always comes down to communication. That is something that I learned after we had been fighting over and over and over. And then I realized there's a misunderstanding here. You know, when we were first married, I mean, not just when we were first married, but it always came down to a misunderstanding. And sometimes the communication is painful. And like for us, it would last hours trying to work something out. And then great, we worked one thing out. And that was, maybe it was painful and it was hard and time consuming, but it was worth it because now that's worked out. One thing is worked out. One, you need to communicate. And I did a good job of communicating that to you without freaking out, getting emotional, putting weird beliefs in my own head, or having beliefs that I bring that come to the surface because of some insecurity. Then you did good by realizing, oh, I am in the wrong, instead of taking it personal and getting mad at me and saying, well, you don't like me, or do you not care?
Right.
Not that you do that.
Is that how I sound?
But you handled it well and took responsibility for something that had nothing to do with you. And when you realized that had nothing to do with you, and you're like, oh yeah, you were fine, and you walked off.
I think we're both equally annoying. I don't think in our own way. For instance, I think you are more aggressive and you come off as just like this massive tidal wave, like do it. And you're going, oh my, that is a lot coming at you all at once when I'm just trying to do this one thing. However, you back off really quick. But I come off as extremely condescending and
yes,
are you the dumbest person alive kind of vibe. And here's the thing. I think in all fairness, we don't recognize that that's the way we're coming off at first because we're there to help and we have an idea. And so I don't think that's the way we're trying.
We've got an opinion and we're going to give it to you and you better do it.
Right. I'm here to help. So I think that's one thing that we recognize about each other. I don't have to do it just because you're being so forceful. And I think one thing that you've gotten better at is just because I'm looking at you like you're the dumbest person alive, that's not what I'm thinking. It's just coming across that way. But I really don't think that. I'm just like, hey, have you thought of this? And you're like, yes, I have. I think it goes right into the concept of taking responsibility for your part in it.
Yes.
In certain things. So there have been many times that we have been angry at each other. But one thing that I think we have really done, like we have created a habit around, is instead of jumping down the other person's throat or pointing the finger of you're doing this, I want you to change. Why are you, right? Like
nothing I'm doing is wrong. It's all you.
It's all you. You're the problem.
Right.
I think we have really started a good habit that we first find out what's my part.
Well, yeah. What is your role? What are you doing?
What am I doing? What am I expecting? What am I thinking? What is
your expectation?
What is my expectation? And I'll just use this example. I guess we're like throwing me under the bus today, but that's okay. These are good examples. So I remember there was one time I was so angry at you.
What?
I don't know. It was probably something stupid, but I was livid. And we had come up with this idea, right? Like figure out what your part is and figure out like your expectation. And I for sure knew you were 100% in the wrong. Like there was nothing about it that was my fault. And I remember I was like a couple of days angry at you. And you could tell, and I think you would kind of come to me and I was like, I'm working something out. And you're like, okay. And I was. But what I was really thinking is, I want you, like, you're the problem. You are 100% the problem, but I don't know how to tell you you're the problem because you're the problem. And finally, I thought, you know what? I'm going to be a good person and come to you with what my, this is
You're
what
going to
I'm
be the
saying.
bigger
I'm
person.
going to be the bigger person and I'm going to come to you with what my problem is so that you'll recognize what your problem is. And so I thought, oh, I'm so good at this. Look at me
Okay.
grow.
Okay.
So I sat there and I was like, okay, you're really angry. Well, what are you angry about? And as I started diving in, I recognized I was angry because I had put an expectation on you that you didn't even know about. So it really very quickly switched that you were 100% the problem to me being I'm 100% the problem because I am putting this on you and you didn't even know it was an expectation in my head. And I didn't know in all fairness, I didn't know it was an expectation that I was putting out
until
there
you worked it out.
until I
and
worked
saw,
it out.
like figured it out in your
Yeah.
head. I don't remember what it was about. I know what you're talking about. I remember you being really annoyed with me for some reason, but I was in a good place. You know, like it doesn't matter what other people are. If you are happy with yourself and you are having the right perspective and not letting other people ruffle your feathers and you're just doing good.
So there's a couple of
People
versions
can't
of this.
upset you.
Yeah, like Mel
Other
Robbins.
people, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, so Mel Robbins, she coined the phrase "let them." Abraham Hicks or Esther Hicks, the art of allowing is another one. But basically, it's the idea that you're going to be you,
and you get to be you,
and you get to be you, and it doesn't matter what other people are doing; they're not going to affect you. Is that sound
basically
like it?
Because I was in a good place. Like, you know, when you just get in a good mood, you don't care what other people are doing and you don't care if somebody's upset. I'm happy and I'm going to remain happy. And it doesn't matter what other people are doing. You will find yourself in a different place. You'll go do something else or you just won't be there. And I remember I was in that zone, that feeling of I'm great. Life is awesome and I feel good.
Yeah,
and
that
then
wasn't
you came
helping
in.
me.
And then you came in, you were upset about something. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, okay, well, have fun with that. I just went off and doing my thing. It didn't bother me one bit. I knew you were upset about something. You didn't want to talk about it. I didn't have any clue what it was. I didn't care because you didn't want to talk about it. If you wanted to, I would have a discussion, be like, oh, what's happening? And I would have told you, oh, I have no problem.
You cared to work it out, but I think it's more that you were giving me space to work it out in my own head because it was my responsibility.
Because I wasn't bothered at all. You thought I was, or you thought I was doing something in your head, but I was fine. Yeah. I wasn't the one that was bothered. So you were the one that was upset. So that it would be your responsibility to figure that out. I can help you figure that out, but I'm not going to take on your trigger, your weird belief about something that's causing a stress issue. Right. I don't need to take that on. I can help you fix it if you would like. But if you're going to be screaming at me, getting mad at me, I'm walking away. I'm going to stay in my good place.
Well, I think, yeah, it does come back to the fact that I was the one upset. Therefore, I needed to figure it out. And I think that is the whole point of what's your responsibility? What's your part in it? What is it that you're bringing? Because the situation that you find yourself in, this is really
especially when you're upset and you're irritated, you're in a bad mood and you're not liking the other person right now. You just want to point fingers and blame. And that's like the natural type fight instinct of just if you wouldn't do this, then I wouldn't.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like, it's so easy to just be like, they made me mad. They're doing this. It's like, that's so handy because if they're the problem, then they should fix it. It's not me. It's not me doing anything. They need to fix it. But it's way more empowering when you start looking at yourself and you start going, okay, I know I have an issue here. How do I fix it? And maybe you fixing it is like, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too much, but maybe you fixing it is you recognizing that's a bad relationship.
It could be.
Yeah, it's not a good relationship.
You don't want to just, we're not saying just jump to,
Right.
oh, I'm out because I'm doing everything right. I've fixed myself and did you?
Well, okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
Here's the thing. Your part in that is you pick sucky individuals to be in a relationship with. So
could
fix
be.
that.
It could be.
Right? Like that's
But
what
if they're willing, even if they were a sucky person, and so were you, but you keep picking sucky people that don't work with you, but they're willing to change, that can work.
Yeah, that's kind of where we were. If you really think about it, we were a full-blown train wreck equally.
Mm-hmm.
I was a train wreck. You were a train wreck. Put us together. Now we're a train wreck with a dumpster fire on top of it. Like it was just not good. But I think the biggest thing is we collectively together always wanted to be better, always wanted to get better,
To improve ourselves.
I think we've always been interested in bettering ourselves in some way or another. I don't think we always knew how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we always knew even where to begin with that. At the same time, I feel like we were always searching. It's relevant because if you were a person who was a train wreck and married a person who was a train wreck,
Mm-hmm.
because you're getting better, you got to give that person a chance to get better. However,
Okay, that's a good point. Yep.
this is where it comes in. If you keep getting better and you keep getting better and you keep getting better, it is very hard. Like you might have to recognize that person is really okay being complacent. And I'm never going to advocate to get a divorce. At the same time, I'm never going to advocate you should always stay with the person no matter what.
Right. It's such an individual
Yeah.
basis that there's no way to
Yeah,
say
because
one thing or the other.
at a certain point, if you're trying to get better and that person just will not change.
Well, it's like, you're swimming or something and they got a rope tied to them and you're trying to like get somewhere and there's only so much effort you can do and you're dragging them along and they don't want to sit there, like rowing a boat. You're just doing everything yourself. If you're fine with having a lump sitting there and you don't mind dragging them along, it makes you feel empowered, I guess, knock yourself out.
But I will have to say, though,
But if you're trying to go faster and you just can't because you're like, get it going. What are you doing? And they're just like, no. Or they pick them up and they're going backwards.
now I will have to say, though, because I feel like we've both been in this situation where one person is just flying and they're going and they're moving along and they're happy. And the other person is like,
I feel like we've done all of the above.
yeah.
We've both just sat in there, both refusing, and we're just going to go off the waterfall.
Like, I'm
And
paddling.
then one person's paddling, the other one's just intentionally going backwards. And then we have the paddles out, and we're hitting each other and fighting.
That's pretty accurate.
But we stayed in the boat.
Yeah. But
Somebody would jump out and then realize, no, help me back up. Oh, you jumped in, you stay. Okay, fine. And then the other person would do it.
So it is a hard thing to figure out because if you're both trying to grow and that person's like growing so slow, it is painful. It's so painful.
I would say, yes, you're absolutely right. And that's why the most important thing in a relationship is communication. I was going to say honest communication, but that kind of is true, but it's not about being honest. Honesty will come. Just communicate.
Yeah.
You've got to communicate.
You know what? That's a really interesting one, being honest. So we live in a culture where it's kind of a joke, but it's not.
Okay.
Where women will ask their partner, do you think I look fat? Do you think this outfit looks fat?
You really are going to bring this up?
I am, because I think this is a really important thing. I think one thing that is my favorite quality about you is you are radically honest. And at times, I think it's hurting my feelings, but the reality is you are being honest, which means when you're saying things and I kind of don't believe you, I know you haven't lied to me. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And And one thing that kind of drives me nuts is I'll hear, I'm going to say women, because I'm not going to talk for men. Women will ask these questions like, hey, does this make me look fat? And what they want you to say is no. But the reality is that may be an awful outfit on you. You may not look good in it. So all you're doing is you're telling your partner to lie to you. And then what I find fascinating is later on down the road, can you believe he lied to me? Yeah, I can. Because you got mad at him when he didn't lie to you.
Well, from a guy's perspective, why would you ask me that? First of all,
From my perspective, why would you ask that?
if you ask me, I'm going to tell you. Don't ask then. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I'm telling you, look, maybe that doesn't look that great on you.
Right.
There are other options. It doesn't mean you are fat.
Right.
It doesn't mean whatever is going on, like, oh, does this make me look?
Okay, let's be honest though. If I'm like 9 months pregnant and I look like a beach whale, I do. I'm not the prettiest at 9 months. You don't feel pretty. You don't.
Okay.
I mean, there are women, I'm sure there are women who are beautiful at 9 months pregnant. I was not one of them.
You looked fine.
Maybe.
No, that's a good point. You thought you looked awful. And
because I felt awful, so maybe that's all it was.
I had no problem with you. I thought you looked great. I'm like, yeah, you're pregnant. Like,
Right.
you look good.
But here's the thing. If I asked you, do I look pregnant at 9 months? If I asked you, do I look pregnant? And you were like, yeah. And then I got mad at you for that? That is truly just setting the person up to lie to you. And it's a no-win situation. And here's the thing. I know we're using very specific examples, but I think these tricky little questions, because you're trying to get something, because you want to feel love and connection, I don't think they're helpful. And I think there's two things going on. Number one, what are you trying to get out of it? If you want your partner to say you look nice, or you want them to say, wow, you look skinny.
That's what I was going to say. What are you actually wanting? And that's where you have to be aware of yourself. Like, why are you asking? Why am I asking you a question? What's really going on there? And then let's say I don't realize I'm asking some type of question for a specific response, but then you give me an answer that I'm not happy with. That should be a sign to me. If I get triggered by that and I get upset, I need to look at myself and be like, okay, why is that upsetting me? What was I wanting her to say? And you can work that out with your partner. And that's why communication is key. I don't care if it's ugly communication. I don't care if it is 3 hours long. Doesn't matter. You won't fix it if you don't communicate. Your communication will become better. It will become smoother. You'll start working through issues, maybe not all at once and not quickly. It doesn't matter if you just keep communicating.
Okay, I have a question for you. So women are known as does this make me look fat? Right? Because they're asking a question and they're trying to get a need met by asking that question. Is there a version of that for guys? Because I think there is, and I think I kind of have it, but I really want to know if you.
What would I just say it then? Because I don't, off the top of my head.
I heard this on another podcast and it kind of blew my mind.
Okay.
So women do these tricky little questions to get love and connection.
Okay. Confusing.
Like confusing little
Not
questions.
straightforward.
Yeah.
I feel like guys are more straightforward, but maybe there are times that they're not.
So I heard this on a podcast and somebody said, it was a husband and wife, and she said, you do this kind of like whiny, pouty thing when they're not getting enough sex. And they do this like...
I would agree with that.
It's like this weird, tricky little conversation where it's
putting hints out there or saying things, but not actually saying anything. It's the guy version of what you're talking about.
Yeah, that kind of was interesting to me.
That's not helpful either.
Well, and it's fascinating because this is just a little tip and trick. It makes us not want to have sex because we're like, are you whining right now? Like what is happening? This
so I would say
aggressive.
No, I think that's why communication really is important, because if I'm wanting to have sex with you and it's not happening, instead of me just talking to you about it, as a guy, I would say a guy would be doing it because they know women, from a guy's perspective, women can get upset easily, or you don't want to, you have to if I make you too upset, oh, I'm definitely not getting it. If I put you in a bad mood, nope, not happening. But it's not right. It's not healthy. It's not a good way to do it. For some reason, I think it comes about because the guy's afraid to approach the subject because he's going to get turned down.
Well, I would say it's very similar to like a woman.
And so he's trying to be nice or trying to give hints, but as you said, that doesn't work. So what would be the right way for a guy to approach?
Okay, so I would either say if it's been going on for a long period of time, I would probably say there has to be
it's been going on
like a weirdness. Like a weirdness.
Okay.
Okay. I'd probably say there has to be some very honest, open conversation. That would be my first. That would be my what is the weirdness, or what is the expectation that you both have? Because I think in a lot of cultures, like religious cultures, I think in a lot of cultures, it's taboo. It's
to talk about it.
Yeah, to talk about it or experience different things. It's like in certain cultures that was not okay. Either the husband or the wife could think like, my partner's going to think I'm a freak. They're going to make fun of me. They're something, right? Like there's that hesitation where you're not okay to talk about it. So I would say probably talking about it and being like, what do you want? Like, just what do you want? What do you want to do? What do I want to do? Like, sit down, write a goal sheet. No, we do that. But we do that in business. You do that in relationships. You do that in parenting.
Okay, so today we have on the schedule the position. Oh, this is a new one. We haven't done this one. You fell on your head last time. We're gonna have to modify.
Yeah, I think talking about it and getting the weirdness out is the first thing. And then the second thing is I'm gonna give credit to I heard this on a podcast, Date Your Wife podcast. And she calls it like, you've got to find your flow. And she goes, everybody's going to be different. I think for them, it was like every other day.
Like make a schedule.
Kind of like a schedule, but she's like, you got to find your flow. Maybe it is once a week. Maybe that is your flow. The whole point it wasn't that you have to follow her formula. It was more, find your own formula. But
find what works for you.
Yeah, but you're not going to find that unless you actually have a conversation of like, I want to do I want to get a chandelier. Like, if that's
I think that, that could be part of it. But if you're not even doing it, I don't think you go straight to, hey, let's swing from chandeliers while
let's get a swing. Yeah.
Jumping off the trampoline.
Yeah, but I think though that's part of the problem. People don't be honest. I think there's a lot of times people do, like, they want to, maybe not all couples, but you could have one person who wants to get free.
So maybe they are doing it, but they're not bored with it, but it's not as rewarding because they have things that they want to do, and that's what's on their mind.
Well, and you also, so if you look at from a woman's perspective, a guy is ready to go, at the drop of a hat, any point, right? But like, what's going on in our head, it's like there's, especially when there's kids involved, and the littler they are, the more that's going on in your head, because
it's hard to calm your brain down because you're thinking, okay, did I put the baby in bed? Yes, I did. Oh, wait, what about this one, that one? Tomorrow I've got to take them to, and that's, it's going the whole time.
Well, yeah. And it's like, okay, the baby's in bed, everybody's in bed, but then the baby wakes up. Well, if the baby wakes up, now the baby's going to wake the toddler up. If the toddler wakes up, now the toddler's going to come. And that's all you're thinking about.
What's the best way to calm your mind down to get in the mood, if you will?
I would say, well, and this is where it's going to take a lot of conversation. In the past, when we had very little kids, I had very little sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And as I look back, I was so barely functioning that if you would try to wake me up, I was so rageful because I was barely getting any sleep in the beginning. There was no sleep.
That's a whole nother thing. Like,
Yeah.
you could wake me up, I'll just go right back to sleep. I don't care. You once you go to sleep, you're like a bear in hibernation. Like, you're out.
I'm out. Don't interrupt me.
And then
Don't mess with it.
And then if you do get woken up, you're like, not happy.
It's not just like, oh, this is fun. Oh, what a fun little surprise. It's now like, what time is it? What time is it? Okay. If we get this done, I can get back to sleep. And then if I don't get back to sleep, now I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, the toddler, they're going to be up by this point. We got to be this. That means I'm only going to get like 3 hours of sleep.
So it really does come down to communication.
Yeah.
Because there is no magic wand formula that says, this is how, follow these steps.
Right.
And you will have a happy sex life.
Right.
Because every situation's different. So like when we were younger with little kids running around, if I had just talked to you and said, hey, Jen, what's going on?
Right.
This is what I would like to do. I feel that this isn't happening enough or something.
Right.
What do you need? How can I help you? And you would start telling me about all the problems. I don't know. And then I can help you figure them out. And maybe you just need to talk it out. And then it calms your mind. And you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, everything is fine. We're good. Okay. Yeah. Now I can relax.
Well, and it's kind of funny because even though I'm talking about specific toddlers, there's seasons of life. And there are some seasons where it's like, there is nothing going on. Wake me up. When could this happen? It's fine. I'm going with the flow. And then there are seasons of life. We have literally from 3 to 3:15. That is your time. That is your window. If you don't hit that window, I'm sorry.
All right, I'm going to start the watch.
If you don't hit that window, I'm sorry. You're going to have to wait till next Tuesday. That's your window. And that's it. And it's like, and in all fairness, from a woman's perspective, this is not fun for us either. The longer you go, the more neurotic, at least for me, the more neurotic I get, because then you're like trying to pack it in, and then you're like, okay, but then you're kind of like
the more the pressure builds up and the harder it is to uncap it.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like the second you like open it up, it's just gonna like explode. Not in a good way. You're like, I'm just gonna keep that like locked down as much as possible.
All the emotion will come out with it.
Yeah.
You're just freaking out.
Well, because that's it. Like if you're in that season where you're so heightened.
Okay, so that actually goes back to, that is what guys fear. They don't know how to read women to a point. Like, I've gotten better at reading you, but I'm not.
Worst fear ever.
I'm not saying that I'm like some expert, even though I feel we communicate pretty well.
Yeah.
I still don't know what's going on in your head half the time. And so for a guy, like, the fear is, I don't know what she's thinking. I don't know what's going to set her off. It's like playing Jenga. You know, you're like, okay, I think this one, okay, it didn't fall over. And then I start pulling one, and then like you just knock the thing down. I'm like, oh, what did I do wrong? And so then we take that, and that's what we put into our, the way we do it for next time. Like, okay, she got upset by this way, so I need to be nicer, and I need to just throw some hints out there. And
that makes sense.
That's what's going on in a guy's head. They're playing Jenga, but they don't know really how the game is played. They don't know which one to pull out. And you don't know, you just get lucky sometimes. And you're like, oh, that worked.
But I think that's why communication is so important. Like having an honest conversation, because like, I've never thought of it that way, where you're like, I don't know how to read you. And I feel like I'm playing Jenga, and I don't know the rules. There are no rules, or the rules keep changing. And I'm like,
so I think for a guy, let's use the Jenga example. Okay. I'm going to pull it out, and the thing crumbles for whatever reason. It just crumbles and falls apart. But if here's the Jenga, and I'm like, hey, Jen, I want to do this Jenga thing.
I want to play Jenga.
I want to play Jenga.
Keep it family friendly.
Okay. We want to play Jenga. I'd like to Jenga with you. So then you would say, oh, You were going to pull that? No.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's what you said last time. Like, as a guy, like, what? Like, oh no, it always changes. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what Jenga thing? I do this? Oh, okay, do that? Oh, I could just ask you and you tell me what to do. Does that?
Yeah, I would say
Is-
yes, because it kind of goes back to the different seasons in life. Like if you looked at our life right now, it is quite calm. But give it 2 or 3 months, oh no, we're going right back to like what it was. It's never just going to be this, okay, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at this time, boom, we're going to knock it out. Like it, life is always up and down. And so I think you'll get more into a flow when you both start communicating your needs, what it is that you really, really want.
Because the more you communicate, I've learned with you, the more you communicate, the easier it is to do that.
Yeah.
The more comfortable you feel sharing things that you were hesitant to share.
I found that more women are like just way up in their head with a lot of stuff. It's most women. I've heard people say, "Oh, women just aren't as sexual as men." No, I would disagree. It's just that I think it's sometimes lower. The need is not any less, but like priority wise, I think we can shut it down easier. I don't think
and it's more complicated.
It's just more complicated, so it's just easier to shove it down. It's kind of like eating. Like, how many women do you know? Maybe not you personally, but like I know a ton of women. It's like we forget to drink water, we forget to eat, we fed everybody else, we've done everything else, we've changed the baby, we've got everything, and we're like, this headache. Oh, and then you realize you haven't drunk water for like 2 days. We are really good at just pushing down anything that we need because it's like you just get in this mode of like, are you okay? Are you okay? What do you need?
And
Are
fix
you
it
all
mode
right?
with
And
everything.
fix it mode. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say women probably could be better. I'm not gonna put that they have to be better, but I would say for the majority that I know, you could be better at prioritizing that. And I think I think it should be a priority. At the same time, I am very aware why it gets pushed down.
Part of the problem is fearing communication in the right way or saying something wrong. You have to be forgiving of each other when you're communicating. I mean, if somebody's trying to be a jerk, whatever, you can't do much with that. You can tell them you don't appreciate that and they can change, but like sometimes you could say something that you don't realize you're saying and other person that's hurting their feelings or something. And so you can change that. But
there's been some times where as you're working it out, the best way to work it out is to blame the other person. And you don't want to stay that way.
It feels like it's the easiest way.
It feels like it's the easiest
but
way.
It's not.
Well, and
it
I would
just
say
keeps it a problem.
Well, this is kind of where I was going with it. There have been some times where I'm trying to work something out and it's just so much easier. And I ask you, I say, can I just sit here and can I just tell you all the things that you're doing wrong and you not take it personally? Because I know it's not you. I know you're not the problem. I know there's something, it's an expectation or there's something in my head. I know that, but I cannot get past that. I want to blame you. I cannot get past that. I think you're the problem. So if there's a way that you could just sit here and let me tell you all the ways that you
and not take it personal,
and not take it personal,
all the things that are setting me in my head, I just need to vent it. I need to get it out.
I just need to get
and I
it
need
out.
you to sit there and hear me saying this.
Yeah.
And then by the time I'm done saying this, I realize, oh wait, that had nothing to do with you.
You're not the problem. You're actually really wonderful. I love you. Sorry I said all that stuff about you. You don't suck.
The warning helps. Like if you're like, hey, I need to talk to you. Don't take it personal. I'm just trying to work something out. And I can put myself in okay, I'm not going to get annoyed if maybe I wasn't in a good headspace or something, but I can put myself there. And it's not that hard. Oh, okay, well, I can see you need this. Let me do that. Okay, go ahead, hit me.
And there have been times I would have to say that both of us have really tried to hold that space for the other person. I don't know if that's the best verbiage, but hold that space for the other person where I know there's been times that you've sat there and you're just like, and you do this and you do this. And I'm just sitting there going, he is working something out. Do not take this personal.
Yep.
And I really try. I really, really try. And I've noticed that you really try, even if I'm just like, and you do this and you do this. you really try to just sit there and be like, I'm just going to hold space. And that only works because eventually both of us get to the point where we're like, I'm not really blaming you. I know you're not the problem. But if I were just sit here and be like, you're the problem, you're the problem, you're the problem, thanks for letting me vent. That
And
would
don't
work.
don't actually work anything out.
Yeah.
You just wanted to rip on them.
Yeah.
And,
Let me just tell you all the ways you suck. Okay, now I feel better.
okay,
Thanks.
bye.
Bye. Have a good day at work.
I'll ask this of whoever, like the people watching, those out there
out there.
in the multiverse
Web3.
of the on the line. Those are the on the line. Like here, this is a good question though. When is the last time you sat down and had a conversation with your spouse, your partner,
and been radically honest about anything?
No, not even radically honest.
Really?
I'm saying just communicate. Sat down and just started talking about, I guess, radically honest, but it's really just start off saying with whatever. The radically honest will get there if you keep communicating.
I don't know. I've met some people, not even met. I know some people who have been married for like over 20 years.
Are they communicating?
They say they are. But here's the thing. Okay.
We're supposed to be in
I'm thinking of a specific couple, and I will not say names.
Okay.
They pride themselves that they never fight. They pride them. We don't. And I think, oh boy, that has got to be awful. Because if you're not disagreeing on stuff, and I don't mean that they need to be like knocked down, drag out fights. I'm saying you're telling me you have been married for 2 decades and you haven't disagreed on anything. All that tells me is that you are uncomfortable with conflict and you both have some serious resentment and it has not come out. And so I think if you need to start just communicating, okay, start there. At the same time, I would get to radically honest as quickly as possible. Now, you both need to know you're being radically honest. That's not fair to just be like, I'm going to be radically honest and my partner has no idea what I'm about. Well,
it sounds like in a situation like that, it sounds like they don't want to be honest and they're happy being non-communicators.
But if that was the way you were raised, like that's the way it should work. That's a happy couple. A happy couple is never fighting.
So I guess when you're saying radically honest, you're meaning express the true feelings that you have inside.
Yeah.
Don't hold them in. You need to express them. Yes, I totally agree with that.
I want this out of our life. I do not like it when you do this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it may be my issue that I don't like it.
The only way to work it out is by saying that to the other person. It might be totally your fault. Who knows? It might have nothing to do with them. But if you tell them, they're like, oh, I don't have a problem with that. Oh, you don't? No. So why haven't you been doing it?
I have met a few, not even just a few, like I have met multiple couples who would claim they are best friends. They absolutely.
Well, let me ask you this. Are these people that you have met or seen, maybe you don't know them that well, maybe you do, are they growth minded? Are they trying to really improve their lives?
No.
So I would say that's the difference. Somebody that is trying to improve their life and their intent is to grow and to change and to become better and do that together, then it will happen. Otherwise, they're just going to be stagnant.
I don't know, because I also think people who don't fight or argue or aren't radically honest, I don't want to say that you have to fight. It doesn't always have to be a fight.
It's more conflict, working
through the conflicts. If you are avoiding conflicts as a couple,
mm-hmm.
then I would say I do know that there are some beliefs, there are some stories that people have in their head that if we fight, if there is conflict, then we weren't right together. Then we made a bad choice.
Oh, that's a whole nother thing.
That's a whole other thing.
Yes, but you're right. You're absolutely right. Oh, we were so in love and it was so great for 6 months and now we're fighting all the time.
Yeah.
That's normal.
And it is very normal. But that's the thing. I would say I have met people who, there are people who just genuinely don't have a growth mindset and they're fine being comfortable and they're just, let's sweep it under the rug. But there are some people who genuinely have a belief that if we fight, we made the wrong decision. Because a good couple, a good
It
marriage,
should be perfect.
should be
you never have
perfect.
any issues. You never fight.
yeah, you should just know my love language. You should just know how I feel loved. You should just read my mind and meet all of my needs, because that means that we're meant to be. That means we're soulmates. It's like, that is not how it works. But it's unfair to the other person. Not only is that not how it works, that's genuinely unfair to the other person. They should not have to meet these expectations that you have in your head that they don't even know about. That's just setting them up to fail.
So back to the question, when's the last time you communicated? You sat down and had just communicated.
Mm-hmm.
If it needs to be an honest communication, like where you're going deep with some stuff, go for it.
There is.
And I really want to know how many fights this starts.
Oh.
And I want to know what the fights are about.
Yeah.
Oh, we've had so many.
We've had some doozies, some good ones.
But that's how we worked things out.
Well, I like what I heard Jordan Peterson say, this thought where it says, imagine you have this conflict that you have been arguing about, right?
Okay.
And he's like, let's say you knew after 30 arguments, right? This thing that you constantly fight about. And let's say there was a number on top of it. After 30 arguments, you would figure it out and you would never argue about it again. He's like, would that be worth it?
Yes.
Just get through the 30 arguments.
Yes.
Just get through them.
Yes.
It would totally be worth it, because then
Because-
you'd never argue about it again.
That was us.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times we argued about just
who
one
knows?
dumb thing.
Yeah.
The same thing over and over and over and over and over.
Right.
It got a little better every time, but there are just so many little things to work out with that one thing. And then finally, you hit a point.
We figured
That's
it
it.
out.
Cool, we did it. I don't know what the magic number is, but you get there. And when you get there, you know you're there and it's done.
Yeah. And so if you
Okay,
see-
what's the next topic?
What's the next? So that's the thing. Each topic, each conflict has a number on it. Maybe it's 1. Maybe it really is 1. Like, we've had ones where I'm like, I do not like
And maybe
this.
it is 30.
Yeah. There's been some where you've come to me or I've come to you, and either one of us is like, I don't like this. And we're like, oh, okay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
So what do you want to do about it? Like, what's
This.
the solution? Well, could
Well,
you
let's
do
do
this?
that. Okay,
Okay.
great.
That was literally the argument. That was it. And then there's some been like, oh, just,
I'd say the more things you work out, the easier they become overall.
yeah. You kind of know your argument style. Is that a thing? Argument style?
It has to be.
God, it feels like it should be.
Personalities
Yeah.
conflicting or this or that. You're not feeling heard. I'm doing whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this
So I
is
wanna
another
know.
thing, because we've talked about personalities a lot. I do know that there are personalities who tend to shy away from conflict. That is not us. We are not that.
No.
We run into it head
And that
on.
doesn't mean just because you are communicating and is conflict that it has to be World War III.
Yeah.
It can be, oh, I'm not happy. Why are you not happy?
Yeah.
Oh, because of this. Oh, well, let's fix that.
Or I
It
don't
can
know.
be that easy.
I don't know why I'm not happy, but I would like to work it out. I would like to be happy. Okay.
Hey,
Let's figure
if it's that easy, more power to you.
There you go. Listen to our podcast and you will get to, I would like to be happy. Okay. We're still not there. Thanks, you guys, for listening, hanging out with us. We are Flip the Mind Script on all social medias. And until next time, see you guys.
All right. Good talk.